There we go. The red button is on, and we are live for Monday Night Live, returning to the evening session of the day. Hopefully, we'll have Scott back. I'm not sure where Scott went. He disappeared. I think he might be off in the ether somewhere, just like hanging out somewhere, not here. So hopefully he'll come back. Hello, I am Josh Hayes. I am here with Ralph Kern. It is season 3, episode 22. We're going to do kind of a roundtable episode today to kick off our Monday night rotation. We're going to see if this works better than the mornings. If it does, we'll keep it rolling. If it does not, then we may have to go back to mornings. We'll see. The thing I like about the nighttime show is we can sip on some Grandpa's cough medicine. I've got a bottle of Crown Royal Reserve that I opened special for this episode, and they did not sponsor at all, so just FYI. Which maybe they should. Maybe we should get him a sponsor. Ralph's like half drunk on his wine, so if he talks and slurs, that's his fault.
Well, I think you slurred on the intro there in the very first
I did not. I did not.
However, I had a little mistake. So, being in the UK, we often sort of have to coordinate the timings and whatnot. And I actually coordinated the timings a little bit too early. So I thought we were starting at 1 o'clock in the morning, my time. So I'd like sunk half a bottle of wine, prepped to get a little bit of Dutch courage and conversational ability. And then Josh was like, "Man, dude, it's 2 o'clock." I'm like, "Fuck."
I was down.
X-rated. So I took the second bottle of wine, and now I'm onto a couple of tins of gin and tonic that I found in the fridge.
How many bottles of water did you chug? I think I can get my alcohol level down.
Well,
that's
yeah,
hilarious.
I'm going to get some water in my alcohol stream at some point.
That is so awesome. Oh, well, welcome everybody that's in the live chat. We've got a lot of people hanging out with us tonight. I see some new faces in there, so welcome. I don't know that I've ever seen Bart of Today or Alan Dude, so guys, welcome. Bill and Lauren and Rick and JR are in the chat room, and we're getting some echo, and I don't know why. We haven't been able to figure it out. Just go with it. We'll figure it out eventually, and I don't know. Hopefully, it won't ruin the show for tonight. So while we're waiting for Scott to come back, I don't know if Chuck is going to make it. He's having some internet problems. See, this is what happened. We decided to change our lineup. We decided to change things, and the internet did not like that. There's Scott. He's back. I don't know if he is okay. Are you okay, Scott?
I'm
Are
still
you good?
For this mysterious technical problem that materialized out of thin air, even though I do exactly the same thing every single time, but this time I have.
I can sense the rage building.
Oh, you can just see his veins popping out of his forehead, just getting ready to go.
I have done this like 600 times exactly the same way, but this time I have an echo. What? I don't understand.
Well, you don't have an echo now.
I will. Trust me. Just wait for it.
Why does the world hate me?
That is awesome.
I have my theories about that as well, and I also have Budweiser Freedom Reserve. So
that's right. Yes.
That sounds like
freedom
stuff.
Because it's like after every so many gallons of beer you drink here, it gives money to veterans. So I guess it seemed like a good cause.
How many gallons are you on?
I'm just starting.
Are the veterans all living in Beverly Hills mansions now?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. So I'm going to my system preferences because this is what people want to hear about on the show. Making sure my sound is set.
Yeah, while you do that, so Chuck's idea for tonight's show, and I don't know why we're getting an echo, so we'll fix it for next week, I promise.
Evil.
Chuck's idea was the show to do kind of a roundtable on some different topics and see kind of what's been going on in our writing lives. Not kind of the projects that we're working on, but kind of what we've seen and what we've come up against challenges wise in the last couple of weeks, and talk about that, and maybe kind of talk about how we dealt with it, or what we did to kind of overcome what we had going
profanity.
on.
That's how I do profanity.
So yeah, there was a lot of profanity. Ralph had some issues with doing paperbacks, and we got to hear about that for like 3 days, and that was fun. Pretty sure Ralph almost threw his computer out the window. I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah. The last time I did a paper book myself without it, I was so mad. I was embarrassed at how mad I was afterwards. Oh, I was just furious. And so I know where you're coming from, Ralph. I know.
Yeah. I mean, well, I'm sure we'll move on to that, and you feel the rage building back up again.
Right. we need to get like a Scott rage meter that we can just like.
See, people haven't seen Rage Scott very often.
Scottometer.
It's not a pretty picture. I'll tell you that right now. It is not pretty, and you don't want to. If the rage meter is going, like, Skype Scott. That's the safest way to handle Scott when the rage. Don't be in the same room because you're liable to lose a finger.
Right.
Well, what I like about that is, like, Scott is you're kind of one of the most balanced people I've ever seen on Skype or anything like that. However, the dark side of that is you go full Hulk mode.
No, while we're talking about this delightful subject, here's how it works for me. If I get mad, you won't lose a finger. You'll be safe as a baby in his mother's arms if I go into rage. Because what I do is I mostly damage myself, because I'll punch a wall and then break my hand, and I'm like, that was a really great idea. That helped everything. See, now
I'm so glad I did this.
I'm so glad I punched that wall that was made out of concrete and have a broken hand now. But I never directed at another human or living creature.
Well, apparently we chose to do this on the first night of the Stanley Cup playoffs. I didn't know. And also it's Memorial Day. So everyone out there that served, thank you for serving. I appreciate that.
That's why I'm drinking this beer.
That's right.
Toast to them.
We had our Memorial Day barbecue yesterday, and it was fantastic. And I ate way too much. And then I didn't eat much of anything today. It kind of leveled out. So let's jump right into the topics tonight, and I'll kick us off, and we'll talk about it for a little while and see where it takes us. And if it doesn't take us anywhere, then we'll jump on Scott's topic and go from there. So this week I've been struggling with words, really not really bad. I've been able to write words down, but they have not been coming quickly, and they have not been as many as I need per day. I try to get between 1,000 and 1,500, even 2,000 in a day in the mornings when I get up to write. And this last week I've done like 500, 600, 700. And if Richard's watching, then don't tell him any of this. And so I'm slightly behind on the project, not far behind, not so far that I'm not going to be able to catch up, which I will, because I figured out how to do it to fix kind of what was going on. I don't know why the slump hit. I'm sure everybody hits a slump at some point in their time writing. I've had a couple of them, and you just kind of work through it. And I mean, I'm looking at my writing calendar right now, and I can see in the month of January I did 36,000 words, and then I can track my output through May, and for this month I've got 21,000. So I'm really short this month. But the way that I kind of got past that is a little bit of voice dictation and a little bit of telling. And Scott, we talked about this a little bit the other day, where the first draft is obviously telling yourself the story. And so there was a couple scenes that I didn't really know how to start, and that was slowing me down. And it was also kind of disheartening because I've got the outline all ready to go. And so I should just
be deceiving. I think the outlines, because you're like, well, it's easy. I have an outline. It's not that simple.
Yeah. No, and you're right.
I'm going to say the nice thing about a slump, though, is it literally comes between a high point and another high point. So you can always look at it, and another massive burst of productivity is coming. You're just on the bottom of the roller coaster right there. Yeah,
and I kind of felt it yesterday. I was able to to sit down and write for a few hours, and I got about 1600, which was a lot better than I did all last week. And I started using voice dictation to tell myself this kind of what was going on in the scene or what I wanted to do with the scene. And that yesterday, anyway, that kind of broke it's not writer's block because I was still writing, but kind of the barrier that I had going on that wasn't letting me produce where I wanted to produce at. And so basically what I did is I open up the document, I look at the outline, I turn on my microphone, and then I just kind of told myself what was going on in the scene. And it changed a little bit, but I was able to get, 400, 500, 600, 700 words down really fast. And it was really, it's not clean, it's not edited, it's not anything. It doesn't have punctuation or anything like that, but just kind of the flow of words helped me bump out of that. And I really think that that's going to help me tomorrow and then next week, because I've already got a couple scenes that I just went ahead and jumped ahead and said, this is what I want to have happen in that scene and kind of get the juices flowing. The other thing that helped me out is I've started to kind of be really purposeful in how I take breaks. And Scott, you do is it the Pomodoro method?
Yeah, I do that before. I kind of have a modified version of that, but yeah, that's what I use. There's science behind it.
Yeah, and so I've been trying to use that method, but a lot of times my break is like going back to Facebook and like scrolling through Facebook for like 10 minutes, and that sucks. So what I decided to do is I'm going to try to write for 45 minutes and then go get on the treadmill for half an hour and then come back and write for another 45 minutes. Because the last time that happened, I had a really huge breakthrough in one of the scenes that I was writing, and it changed the ending of the scene, and I think gave it a little bit more and made it a little better. So that's what I'm going to try to do this week is do a little bit more voice dictation, telling myself right at the beginning, the first sit down for that first 45 minutes, just kind of tell myself what I want to write, what I think will be good for the scene. Then after 45 minutes, go and get on the treadmill for half an hour, and then come back, see if that stuff is still fresh and ready to go, and then just bang out some clean draft. And we'll come back next week, and I'll see how that happened or how that helped. But I think it's going to work. I think it's going to be a lot better than this week. It has to be, because last week sucked.
What's the best idea you came up on while you're on the treadmill?
So the scene that I was talking about specifically, it's a scene where so it's Terra Nova 3, and the Pathfinders are in this jungle scene, and they're fighting off this enemy. And my original ending to the scene was they just killed everybody and it was done. It was over with. Then I got on the treadmill and I was like, well, what happens if one of them starts running away, and then Jerry, who is the newest member of the team, chases after them and kind of like breaks
rookie
protocol
mistake.
And make that kind of rookie mistake and chases after him and has some little confrontation, and then that creates drama with the team, because then the team is like, hey, don't do that stuff, and they're going to yell at him, and
then they can name it after him. They can say, oh, you pulled a Jerry.
Exactly. See? Exactly. So yeah, that's the idea that I got on the treadmill. So when I came back, I took out about 200 words and then added about 700 to make the scene a little better. So it worked out, I think.
Yeah, it's good.
I'd like to focus, if I may, on the Pomodoro technique. So for people who don't know what it is, it's basically saying that you'll work for an interval of time, normally about 20 minutes or so, and then you'll have a break of 5 to 10 minutes, and then you'll repeat, rinse and repeat. This is somewhat similar to something called interval training, when you're when you're just doing sort of a cardiovascular workout. So you'll sprint for a period, normally sort of a minute or so. Then you'll have a relaxation period of 2 to 3 minutes, and then you'll sprint again. And that's been proven scientifically to be the most effective way of fat burning. So the Pomodoro technique is also, there's some evidence to suggest that is one of the most effective ways of being productive at work, because no one can sit down for hours on end and just bang out productive work in whatever form that work might be, whether it's accountancy, whether it's just simple word count. So I've kind of done a few different, since I was introduced to it, I've done a few different Pomodoro techniques in my time. And I really liked the one you do, Josh, the treadmill one, because that sort of sinks into something else, which is that I always have my best writing sessions after a good workout session, which I presume is because like endorphins are high, testosterone's high, whatever it is.
Blood flow.
It means that sort of,
I also think when you work out, you can't do other things. You can't be distracted. You can't be like doing a sprint while you're on Facebook. So you have to focus on kind of like this, and then you clears your head, and then with the clear head you write, and it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And also I think, well, especially when I was doing sort of like the half marathon training, was that because you've got long periods where you really want to get out your body and stop worrying about the pain of what you're going through. Your head drifts. Yeah, your head drifts off, and my head drifted off to writing stories. But anyway, so that's one Pomodoro technique. And I really like that one. I think I might sort of go and do it. Just sort of, I don't know, do 20 minutes of writing, then bang out 20 push-ups. 1 minute of mountain climbers, 1 minute of something else, and then bang back to it. And I think that might be a really productive way of doing it. The more lazy-ass version I'm doing at the moment is a Pomodoro TV program, which is sort of 20 minutes of writing, 10 minutes of watching a TV program. So like whatever it might be, expansive.
We had a guest that did that. We had a guest that did that with video games. They would write for like 15 minutes and then play 45 minutes of video games or something. Now,
I think that's probably kind of going around it too.
Who it was, but that seemed to work for them. Something like that. Maybe missing.
Well, that's the bottom line: is whatever works for you. Whatever works is whatever works. But I mean, I love the Expanse series, and so 10 minutes. So typical TV show, 40 minutes. So like spending like 10 minutes watching it, 20 minutes writing, syncing back and forth. And actually, because the Expanse is science fiction, sometimes I like looked at something and thought, I'm gonna shamelessly plagiarize that.
Inspired by and based on.
Yeah. But that works. That's one of the things that works for me.
I think there's two. Go ahead. I'll let you finish, and I have some thoughts on that too. While we're kicking this football
back them out.
I think everything you guys said, and then two short caveats is that if you're doing a Pomodoro sprint and you're just on fire, then don't stop. I mean, obviously, you just keep going. Yeah. Sometimes when you're really, especially like when a story's new, you might write for 2 hours and barely realize the time passed. Well, you should write for 2 hours if you have that time. But when you're kind of the rest of the brakes on. Yeah, the rest of the time you kind of need to kind of pace yourself, I guess. You get some in a focused block of quality writing, and then clear your head and do a focus block. And so that's better than your quality going down as you get dimmer and dimmer, and you get less glycogen in your brain, and you're not getting good circulation because you've been sitting down for 6 hours straight. And you're hungry and all that. So take a break, in my opinion.
No, I agree. And actually, my wife told me that several times. She's like, maybe you just need to take a break and like take a day off. And I'm like, no, because I've had several days where I've got like 300 words. I can't take a day off. She's like, maybe you should take a day off. So today I took a day off.
I like to do what Josh saying with the physical activity between. But if I don't want to do that long, I'll do like kind of some bridges or something that kind of works your posterior chain, because we sit on our butts all the time and they basically go to sleep literally. And so like I'll do something or some back bridges or some good mornings or something to kind of wake up what you're sitting on. And I think that's good for a writer. So we don't all sit like this all the time. You got to open yourself up a little bit, and you work your spine a little bit. Sometimes you get a little burst of adrenaline if you get the circulation.
Well, maybe it's a good time to touch on a lot of writers, and sadly, I'm certainly not going to name any names, but sometimes you see some writers possibly don't take care of the physical selves as much as they possibly should do as well. We do spend a long time sat in front of a computer. You know, taking that time to look after your body is really important, because ultimately, if that fails, you ain't going to be able to do any writing, are you? So,
what are you doing? What are you writing for? Are you writing just to write? Because that's cool. But are you writing to also have a fulfilled life, where you go do stuff with your friends and family, or go to a movie or whatever? But I mean, you can. I know that I can. I have a lot of hip problems from sitting, and that's from work, because I sit at work and then I drive in a car sitting at work, and I wear a 25-pound gun belt that cuts into my hips, and then I come home and I sit and write, and so I have a lot of inflexibility in the psoas connection in the hip flexors all along the front there, and it causes me pain every day, constantly. And it's from sitting too much. You know, and I don't want to be in pain all the time. I want to write, and then I want to get up and have fun. So you should be able to. You got to find some balance. I think the healthier you are too, the better long term you're going to be with anything you do.
I agree.
Healthy mind, healthy body, and vice versa.
Yep. And like what Ralph was saying a minute ago, was that sometimes, you know, if you get some exercise, it's a natural for your mind to want to go someplace creative. Because, you know, you need escape from that in workout or whatever.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like it's almost like it unlocks the different possibilities of what could happen in your draft, because when you're sitting there typing or you're looking at the page, you have like bits and pieces that come to you as you're writing it down, but then it kind of locks in, and then if you get stuck, you're kind of replaying what you've already written on the page, right, trying to make it work, because you're stuck in that kind of, this is what I've already put down, so I've got to fix what this is. And then when you step away and do something else, whether it's on the treadmill or just walking around, or even if it's not that, if it's something else that you want to do, your brain might hit on something else and go, oh, that might work better. And because you're not sitting in front of the computer locked into those words, you can go back and change it. That's how I look at it.
That brings up a point. So what do you think, maybe, is there, when we talk about when either people have writer's block, or when it's not coming as smoothly as they want, or they're not feeling inspired, do you think some of that is that the need for perfection, and that maybe when we step away and take a break, it releases us, because, you know, paralysis by analysis and all that?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it almost is kind of like that whole like sometimes I found if I write on legal pads with like a pen, sometimes I found that is a little bit more. It's not freeing, but it helps me because it's not real at that point.
Right. You're not going to publish to the legal pad.
Right. Exactly. And so I can do whatever I want on a legal pad, and it's not going to make any difference at all, because that's not anything. That's just whatever. It's nothing.
It's physically a first draft or notes material, because it still has to be typed and put into the computer. So,
right.
Sub first draft.
Right.
Yeah.
It's zero draft. Patient zero.
Yeah, I have like,
I don't know. Patient zero is the root of all evil.
There you go.
What's funny is I've got like 800 of the legal pads like right here, and maybe I just need to start. If I get stuck, maybe this week I can write on some legal pads and see if that might help. But what about you guys? Did you guys have any topic that popped into your mind that you wanted to talk about tonight?
I got something, but I'll let Ralph go first.
Yeah, I can think my been a couple of things. Well, three things that really sort of kind of stimmy me really at this point. One is sort of a similar writer block to what you're describing, Josh. I'd had a bit of a thing where I was unable to both adequately articulate where I wanted to go with the story, which is somewhat bizarre considering the subject matter of the story.
Right.
So For example, you know, when we talk about plotters and pansters, sort of plotters, you know, they have the plot, they have the idea of where the plot is. They know every step of what's going to happen. Pansters make it as they go along. Now, my current project is not rewriting World War II, but putting World War II situations into a military science fiction environment. So I'm currently on the Bismarck story, which is really,
nice.
yeah, it's a really kind of thrilling story. And but I've come into the close of that story, and by that point, there's you know the enemy. The enemy has been so hunted down. There are dozens of warships on it, and I'm struggling to get that kind of sense of thrill and danger for the good guys against bad guys, because they're just kind of piling on in a big kind of like almost sort of wrestling or policing. You know when you police and you got a mad bloke and you got him pinned down and like, sort of like on top of it, just to pin him down. It's kind of not dissimilar to that. So, you know, it's trying to make that situation sort of thrilling again, to make it without sort of removing from sort of the total reality of the situation. So I had that little barrier that I was doing. So one of the ways I've tried to overcome that is I've just gone back to the start of the story. And so I've learned a lot about the characters involved, the antagonists and protagonists, as I've written through this story. I'm going right the way back to the start. Now I'm editing through it in a developmental way and building up through it. Now, this is a technique I've used before. We kind of, I suppose the best way of viewing it is kind of you're backing up to then go and ram back through a problem. So that's how I'm viewing that one. So hopefully, we'll see how it goes. I've backed up and I've started ramming. I've not got to the bit where I've got stalled on, and I'll report back once I've like breached through that phase. But it's a technique I've used several times before, and it has worked every time. The second one was my I've been boring our little group with our paperback woes. Paperback. No, I don't intend to bore everyone with my. But needless to say, one of the things I wanted to do was convert some of my old backlist to paperback. I've been doing quite well on ebook, but I've just never bothered with a paperback because I've done all right on the ebook. There wasn't ever a really kind of pressing need to go back and do it.
Nobody makes money on the paperbacks.
Yeah, but
it's nice to have them. They have benefits.
The completionist in me says, get it done. So being a little bit tight, I thought, screw it, I'll do it myself. Big mistake. I basically spent 2-3 days in intense frustration because Amazon gives you a Word document which you then repopulate with your manuscript, and you upload it, and then it's like it's all over the place. So you kind of do some modifications, think you sorted it, upload it again. But each time it takes about 4 or 5 hours to go through the entire manuscript. So I lost 2 working days to that. And I was like, And I ended up doing the thing which you said, Scott, earlier, which was punching a wall, and my hand hurt so much. So I actually hurts from it in frustration. Anyway, I went for dinner with my other half, Caroline, today, and she was like, can you pay someone to do it? And I was like, well, yeah, I could pay someone to do it, and but I could do it myself.
Like surrendering, never surrender, never back down. I will format the paper book. It's a matter of honor.
Yeah, and she basically turned around and said what you guys are doing, which was like, you're boring me now. Can you? Well,
if you figure out what you would pay yourself per hour and how many hours you've spent on it, it's because I've spent longer than that. I've spent weeks trying to get a paperback right. Years ago, and especially when I was first learning, and what it is it's usually the page and section breaks to make the numbers continue continuously, but not posting on the first page of each chapter. That is what gives me the hardest time, and I can never get it right. And I'll get it done eventually, but it takes time and blood. That's why I think I might try Vellum.
Yeah, well, I'll devolve that now because Caroline's like, if you don't pay someone, I'm going to pay them. so
Yeah.
I've had the choice taken out tonight. One of our group has very kindly had been a crack at it. I've said like, look,
Yeah, Rob's going to take a swing at it.
Rob's going to take a swing at it and then feedback to me. But I mean, he's a lovely bloke, all the time in the world for him, and thankfully he seems to have all the time in the world for us. But ultimately, yeah. Ultimately, you know, he's got a book to write, and I'm really invested in his series. I love his series, so you know, I want him to get back to that rather than on my paper.
Which I don't get from every time you're like, Rob, stop fucking around and go write your story. And he's like, I'm trying to walk Zeke here. I'm trying.
I have a dog. I have a dog. You bastards, heartless dog haters. Zeke needs to take a walk.
He's got a cellar as well, I'm sure. He can put the dog in the cellar while he writes his book. But but that's really
He also writes hard science fiction, which is, I think, probably. I mean, if I was trying to write hard science fiction, I'd probably crush myself in the writing process.
I'd hate to see like your legal pads that you have, Josh. I mean, I imagine that Rob's got sort of stacks and stacks of them, and they've all got they all look like kind of Werner von Braun's.
James
have you ever seen that that meme where the guy's trying to do math and there's like formulas overlaid on his face and he's like, I'm not sure if that's how I picture Rob writing, is she's just got all these formulas and stuff. Just if you guys don't know, we're talking about Robert M. Campbell. He writes the trajectory series. A really great series. He's a really good guy and
a super nice guy. And he's got an awesome beard and a cool dog named Zeke, and he lives in Canada where it's cold.
That's right. It is cold.
I'm like, I'll get up and be complaining. It's so cold. And he's like, it's negative 47 degrees here.
Well, what you'll find in like there's a certain bunch of people, and throughout the books you'll find certain names that reoccurring, and it's never one of these people. It's always sort of someone attached to them. So for Josh, who is it?
Well, wait, what?
Who's the one who always appears in our books?
CFH. Carter fucking Hayes, man. He's in every one of them.
And he's always like freaking just like a stud somehow, like some rookie pilot that flies through the freaking space nebula and flies through. Like, who is that guy? That was Carter fucking Hayes.
So I just want to point this out to everybody that's watching. And everybody that's watching live and everybody that's watching later. I did a podcast several weeks ago. It was Author Like a Boss podcast, and she asked me what was the greatest thing about writing and Keystroke Medium, and I said the community. And when we're talking about Carter Hayes, CFH.
Carter Hayes.
Oh, I in that podcast I said you need to have a small collective, and then you need to have a big group of people that you write with. And a small collective could be anybody. It could be 2 or 3 people that you hang out on a regular basis to talk about writing. And for in our circle, it's 6 people that we're always messaging on Facebook, and it's Ralph, it's Scott, it's me, it's Nathan Heisted, it's Chuck Manley, and Rob Campbell. And our Facebook Messenger is ridiculous during the day. Just sometimes I have to turn off the notifications because you're like, there's 700 back notifications. I can't read all of these. But when we were doing I think it was Exploration War, all of it, and it was my youngest son was just born, and so Carter fucking Hayes became this like huge sweeping character that everyone's like, we got to have that guy in our book. So now CFH is in almost every single one of everybone's books now.
He's in almost everything I've written for the last 2 years. Some places you look, little Easter egg.
Yeah.
Well, how it came out, I think, is because you'd given birth to something. You'd been like, I'm in an hour and about the name for a little while, haven't you? Oh, you and Jamie have. And then it's like, I think we decided on Carter Hayes, and we were like, that is a total hero name. But I can't say that name without adding the F in.
Yeah, it's true.
It became like cart of fucking hay.
That's true.
And to save the day. So looking at our all of our we got quite a large group here. Oh, I hope that Richard didn't come in too early, Josh, because he's here. So he's probably.
Oh crap! Don't tell him to go back and
burn.
Just don't watch the recording, Richard. Just watch the live show, and you're good.
James McCormick says InDesign makes up templates easy. I guess reference to our paperback stuff.
I've always wanted to try InDesign. I know that Kevin G. Summers does a really good job with InDesign. He does a lot of the Galaxy's Edge stuff.
Yeah, that's like they use that like pro book formatters because you can like change the space between individual letters to make all the lines come out and nothing overlaps onto the next page. You know, to like that type of precision. So, and then also apparently there's some conversation. They're looking at that. I think I live in a bunker, a converted bunker. Could be true. Cannot confirm or deny.
The exact location has been redacted.
Yeah, there's actually some bunkers, in Kansas. There actually are quite a few abandoned missile silos, and we could probably buy one and make it. Oh, there's Chuck.
Oh, look, he's sideways. Chuck is sideways right now. Look at him. And I thought Ralph was. I thought Ralph was the drunk one.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you, but you're definitely sideways. So I'm definitely looking.
Are you laying down?
Rotate your camera.
My camera's all right. Hang on.
A different direction. Reorientate. There we go.
Is that better?
Yes, that's way
How
better.
did you even do that, Chuck?
I
mean, that's skill, guys.
Yeah, I'll just show you. I got this little thing, and it was sideways like that, so I had to pull it out. So I'm just gonna stand here and hold the fucking phone.
A lot of profanity. We're going to put like a.
How many scissors have you won, by the way?
There's an E on this episode. That's awesome.
There's going to be,
E for everyone.
Hey, well, now that
I'm in a mood.
Now that Chuck is done breaking his computer, and we're going to do the show sponsor here. See, I'm going to set this down right now. We're going to do the show sponsor, and now that Chuck's here, I'm going to get messed up. And it's not really a show sponsor this week, as it is kind of a hey, cool, look at what we're doing type thing. I don't know if you guys were on Facebook earlier, and Hank mentioned that Hank Garner mentioned that me and he and Jaime Castle, aka Steve Bollier, are doing something very cool. And what we decided to do is listen to the Wheel of Time, the entire series from book 1 to all the way to the end, and then we're going to
kill yourselves.
Yes.
No.
Die of old age.
We're going to do.
It's a kind of murder suicide.
Yes, it's a cult, and we've got wicked ass Kool-Aid to go with it. But no, what we're going to do is we're going to listen to the whole series, and we're going to podcast about it. Every couple of weeks, we're gonna podcast.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it on
we're listening to it, and then we're gonna listen to each book, and then we're gonna do a podcast on it. We're gonna kind of focus on obviously the Wheel of Time world, but then also kind of talk about what maybe Robert was doing with the books, and then obviously when we make that transition to Sanderson, talk about how he finished it. There's a lot of talk about these books. Everybody's either I really love them or really didn't like them, or the middle of the book, the middle of the series kind of drags. I don't know. I've never read it before.
I have to say one thing about those books real quick, and I'll be short so you get back to your thing. I had friends in high school that never read a fiction book in their lives, but they had read that series multiple times through.
Really?
So that says something. I don't know what, but it says something.
I just started it tonight. Michael Kramer and Kate Redding read it. So
Michael Kramer.
Yeah, it started out really nice. I was kind of confused, like sometimes I get with Sanderson's books at the beginning, but it kind of flowed into really cool narrative. So we're going to be. Oh, and I've got something to share too. So I don't know if you guys know this, but Steve Bollier is a graphic designer, and within 5 minutes, he had created us a little logo for our little podcast. And Hank, who is an awesome dude, within 5 minutes had a website done for us. So
those M&Ms.
Chuck's eating candy, I think.
No, I'm pouring another.
Oh, it's
drink.
ice.
Sorry.
So
Ice.
here is the logo that Steve/Jaime Castle had made for us.
Holy crap, that's cool.
It's,
I love the
you
Wheel
guys
of
are
Time,
working.
so I
Awesome.
totally get it.
It's WoTchers. It's Wheel of Time WoTchers.
Neat.
You see the
Wheel of Time shares. I guess like share.
shares. Yes, WoTchers. It's WoTchers. WoTchers. So that's the little cool logo that Steve made for us. And
those are pretty. Those are exceptionally good books. I mean, they're really they're really the epitome of what you would consider epic fantasy.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, all the characters are super strong, and that's what carries really through all the books. You just want to know what happens to these people. But I will admit, I did not read any more of them after Sanderson took over, just because there was such a big gap there while Jordan was sick and whatnot that I just never got back to him.
I stopped at 9 and just kind of my life, I had one. And then I couldn't finish them.
So we'll have to see how it goes. Right now, we're planning on doing a couple. We're planning to do an episode every couple of weeks. I started listening to it today. We're gonna do an intro episode, I think, next week sometime. They're not gonna be live. They're just gonna be just a podcast. The WoTchers. The website is WoTchers.com. We were able to snatch that one up. WoTchers.com. It's not going to be live, but the podcast will be up there, and then we're going to share it on Keystroke's website as well.
Epic.
Very cool, man. That sounds fun.
Beginning of a legendary.
So,
podcast.
Chuck, we were talking about stuff that kind of challenges that we had this week, writing wise, and kind of if we had overcame them or what we were doing to work past those struggles. Did you have anything this week any struggles that came to mind that you had to work through? Besides trying to connect to tonight's show?
Well, then there's that. Yeah. Really, I'm kind of I'm on more of I'm getting back into the Brace Cordova thing, so I'm rereading a lot of that, and I'm plotting out the next book in the Pickman Files. So I'm sort of in one of those pre-work stages. But I've talked to you guys about it. But as you know, my father-in-law's been having some health issues. That's been eating up a lot of our time and stuff. So really, my biggest problem lately has just been scheduling. That's what I've run into this week for the most part. Is just the kids are out of school now, and it's just you gotta fit that time in where you can. In fact, I'm almost 100% sure that whatever's wrong with my internet right now is because they're home. I'm just sure of it.
Yeah,
but in the broader sense of challenges to my writing career, really, I think my biggest problem falls down a lot to my personality. I can sit here and talk to this camera and to that camera and to a microphone and all that stuff all day long. But when it comes to like connecting with an audience, connecting with people that I'm going to at some point kind of hope to buy something from me, that kind of thing, I turn into a 50-year-old gibbering idiot. I mean, I can't. I just don't have the people skills. I mean, for whatever reason. So I think that has been the biggest hurdle for me lately. And I've been trying to work on getting my mailing list set up and all that stuff. But honestly, I can't imagine anyone wanting to get a newsletter from me. You know what I'm saying?
That's
you know what I mean? I don't. Who the fuck am I? I mean, nobody cares what I got to say. So
that's not true.
But that's what.
But I'm saying though, that feeling, that is the hurdle I'm trying to get past.
Right, but that feeling is, I've had that same feeling, and I know most people have that feeling, and so that's something that if we could answer that question, we could probably help a lot of people develop their newsletter, their list. But the thing is we have you on the show because every time you came on the show, we're like, that dude's cool. We like talking to him. And next thing you know, we're
you
here.
can thank this for that. I'm always drunk. Always. You guys only think I'm drinking water on the daytime shows. It's all vodka.
In the bottle lies truth, though, and you have such a good way of articulating sort of quite complicated points into quite simple, kind of snappy points, which is it's an immense skill that a lot of people lack. So don't diminish yourself on that. I'd certainly know.
Well,
I'd ramble all around the house as you're like, bang, bang.
Chuck shucks it down to the cob. Boom.
Yeah.
Gives us the 411. I've been looking at the idea of reader magnets. I know it's a little bit out of vogue. Chris Fox recently had some podcasts on doing a reader magnet that works. I listened to that on the way to work. And I think there's still got to be some value to that. And, I my newsletters, I try to keep them as simple as I can now. I took all the courses and they're like, well, you need to sell them on your personality and be nice and be funny and tell them about your life and all that stuff. And I'm like, I don't really necessarily agree with that, because the newsletters I open, I don't read most of that stuff just because I don't have time to read 50 newsletters about 50 people's, all the details of their lives.
Right.
Usually if I am on their newsletters because I want their book of fiction or their nonfiction book that's going to solve my problem, and then usually if I'm really made that connection with them, we're communicating in some other way, like on Facebook or Instagram or something. So,
I think a lot of that, they want to know about your life and all that stuff. I think a lot, romance is the biggest selling genre. And I think that for that audience, that's actually a true thing.
It could be, yeah.
I think if you get into the more, I don't know the right word here. I don't want to say masculine, but the more like, romance is all about the emotion. It's all about boy meets girl, girl meets girl, boy meets boy, whatever. But these two people fall in love, and it's all about the feelings and the struggles they have to get past to be together at the end, and yada, yada, yada. So it's all about that emotional stuff. So readers who are into that kind of thing, they tend to want to know more about the people they're reading on a personal level. But we tend to, science fiction, fantasy, that stuff, we tend to focus a little more towards the plot, the action.
Or blowing shit up. That's
blowing shit up. And people who are interested in blowing shit up, they could give a fuck whether or not you're depressed.
You weren't here earlier, but we did find out if you're stuck, you just throw in a CFH a Carter fucking Hayes scene.
That's right.
breaks it all loose, and then
that's right.
And you go. So, yeah.
I've just remembered that all related back to Rob Campbell, because that was where the thread started, and it turned out because we've all got a Zeke Campbell, or many of us have a Zeke Campbell in our, and that's his dog.
Zeke rocks.
Zeke Campbell.
Yeah. Look, so I'd almost given up on newsletters and stuff, and especially with all this GDPR, DK, and whatever.
Oh God,
stuff, yeah. But basically, I think what that boils down to is you need to have a double opt-in. A lot of people want it, and I thought that's what you had to have anyway. So I've always kind of had that.
Yeah, I think I have too.
Most like MailChimp and a lot of those are set up to have a double opt-in automatically.
Yeah.
If they're really high speed in the email marketing stuff, they'll try to skip that step. Well, apparently that's the thing of the past if you want to market in the EU, European Union or whatever. So
yeah, I think I always had. I've got about 40
all
people
it is
on my
is just
list,
all it is just having a solid commitment from whoever's on your mailing list that they want to be there, which frankly you should really have anyway.
Right.
So I can't really see what all the
well, I think it just saves you the trouble of weeding people out down the road. I mean,
don't spam people.
Work later.
Don't spam people. Absolutely. Don't be a dick. There is a couple of things. I actually read some of the legal stuff, and one of the things, people have the right to be forgotten, which is interesting. So, and you have to have proof of consent, whatever that means. So if somebody challenged you on it, I guess, or you got sued, or I don't know what the consequences are for violating this. That's the big thing.
I think the real test will come if anyone ever turns around, say, like, for example, Sci-Fi Explorations. We've clearly got quite a few thousand people on there now. And I think the real test will come if one of them turns around and says, well, I think you'll find that you're in violation of GDPR by mailing me. In theory, we could go back somewhere and say, well, actually, we've got this proof that you've got this double opt-in here. You've entered in your email, and then you've confirmed another email to say that you definitely wanted to be part of it, and you did that little thing where you tick a box to say, I am not a robot. So actually,
speak for yourself.
Robots are cool. I wish I was a robot, because I'd be a writing machine, man.
That's right.
I wish I was a robot as well,
literally.
But unfortunately, we're not all robots. But in theory, we should be able to do that. However, it hasn't been tested yet, so I certainly know that I wouldn't. So I don't know if, like, Scott Moon, who wants to approach me and say, actually, I think you're in violation of GDPR, I'll be like, okay, how do I then go back and get that proof that you have subscribed?
Yeah,
that might be a bit tricky, but I'd like to think MailChimp would have automatically kept that.
Most of the email service providers are going to have this streamlined because it affects their business. They're going to make it easy, I would assume. And then the right to be forgotten thing is basically when you delete somebody off your mailing list, they don't really delete. That information is still kept. And so now, like MailerLite, which is what I use currently, they have a button called forget, and it literally purges them like they never existed, which has problems because then you can have people keep signing up for the same thing and whatever. I didn't make the rules on that. So let's, I do want to.
How many times are you going to want the same free book, though? I mean,
right.
Yeah, be sure.
However, I want to have a massive 20-ounce steak, which is because we subscribe to a restaurant today, a website, and we've got like a 20-ounce steak. We had, like, if we spend £60, we get 20 pounds off. So, you look at the menu and think, actually, no, you don't have to look at what's on the low or mid level. You've got to actually price up to get to 60 quid. So, I hope that they never, ever do that right to be forgotten thing because...
keep me on your mailing list forever. I just want to get it.
I just want big steaks.
Big steaks are the prize. So what I was going to talk about was two different things. It relates to what? Am I echoing?
Nope, you're good.
Okay, good. Because I was about to get mad. Punch the wall, which is probably actually really good for the show.
Oh.
So this is drunken, angry KSM tonight. Is that what?
Right.
But yeah, that's right. Punch your concrete foundation, Scott. I want to watch this.
This would be the worst of all the rooms in my house to punch a wall. This is the worst room in the house. Because I would actually probably need an ambulance like that. So, but anyway, so I had two things. We talked a little bit about, and I won't go into it too much. We talked about the writing productivity. I had the opposite problem. I got really inspired last week, and I was writing 5,000 words a day, and I was like, but then you're like, I can do this all the time. Well, eventually you crash because you can't write 5,000 words a day.
Yeah.
And so
it's like going without sleep. Eventually it's going to catch up with you.
So now I'm kind of like trying to mellow out and have a nice happy medium. But the other thing I've done recently that people might be interested in is I've been working with KDP Rocket and AMS ads. And I've actually started to see some results. We're a little short on time and I'm not an expert, but well, what KDP Rocket, you can go in there and you can search for your keywords and find your best 7 key phrases to put in with your book, which is very important, and we all do that. And then I've never seen it move the needle that much, changing my keywords. But maybe I'm just not doing it right, or maybe my book description's not good enough, or they don't link up somehow. But I have in the last week, hopefully it'll keep going, seen an increase of page reads. So like I've gone from like maybe 1,000 a day to 2,000 a day and kind of held it for 4 or 5 days. And I think that's from using the KDP Rocket AMS ad thing. And what it allows you to do is you put in your keywords and it gives you like 50 or 60 or 100 words it thinks are related to your search term. And then you can make a list of like 500 to 800 keywords, and you drop that into your AMS ads, your Amazon Marketing Service ads, and then you fire it up. And I've actually got a couple that will spend, which is interesting. The problem is that you have to be aware of is KDP makes it really easy. So one of them I was in a hurry, and it was my Death by Werewolf book, which doesn't sell, and I hadn't really done anything with it or tried to push it. And I dropped 850 keywords into it, and I didn't really look at them. Okay.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that,
right?
For sure.
So what I learned was when I went back and was trying to clean it up. What I learned was that KDP Rocket has basically told me the books I need to be writing to dominate a niche it's pregnant male werewolf books.
Wolf books.
So, and not just a pregnant werewolf, a pregnant male werewolf.
Male werewolf, books. Right?
So I went through and deleted all the things like that. There'll be lots of erotica in there. And if you search anything sci-fi, you're always going to get things like Ready Player One, Fahrenheit 451, What's a couple other ones you always get? There's several of those like that don't really pertain to, like, say, military science fiction.
Right.
They seem like they'd be a good idea, but if you're really trying to be laser focused, you probably need to remove those.
Because I use KDP Rocket myself, and I have noticed that a lot of times the classic sci-fi shows up, Heinlein and Asimov and Clarke and those guys, and they show up like pretty predominantly in the list that KDP Rocket kicks out. So I think you're accurate in saying that it's kind of hard to drill down to the more contemporary books that are coming out right now. So
one of the things I found.
Put a bit of perspective. I mean, I'm just like looking through my keywords that were generated, and the idea is that so your AMS ad, someone will type them into search terms. So something I don't use, which apparently the majority of people do, is that they will use the Amazon search like a Google search bar. I tend to be a bit more focused.
I usually search for Carter fucking Hayes. That's how I start. I put that into the search.
Zeke Campbell, or
Zeke Campbell,
for an author.
And if that's in the book, then I read it.
Yeah. Or I'm either looking for an author or a title I've seen somewhere else. But I mean, like looking in perspective. So if you type in science fiction, then there are 157 derivatives of science fiction. So basically, KDP Rocket will generate a spreadsheet of search terms for you. I mean, many of them are quite kind of like obvious. So it may be like science fiction anthology, science fiction artificial intelligence, science fiction exploration. And it seems, I don't know whether it does it in any particular order, but after those 157 or so, for example, 113 is science fiction reverse harem. Now, this is for my book.
I know. This is a fascinating
I'm like, well, I don't think there's any reverse harems in there. But then you look at what's even lower than that in terms of search terms. Like 134 is science fiction warriors, which I don't think. Oh no, even 142. I've just seen this now. Science fiction space or science fiction space war. I would have thought that they would be higher, but apparently not. So again, it's an interesting thing because you don't. Well, I certainly haven't thought about that, and so there might be search terms that are very, very loosely.
What do you really? So, like, let's have everybody chime in on this. What if you go to Amazon and you type in a search term? What's your most frequent thing you use besides your own name?
I think well, I don't have to type in my own name because I can I have it bookmarked. I've got it bookmarked. But
a tab just for that. Just the Josh.
I have searched several times military and military science fiction for two reasons. A, I was looking for new books, and B, I was looking for what people titled their books as.
Right.
Because I was there's a titling scheme that I've seen in like thriller fiction that has military, like Tom Clancy's titles, where it's like a Sum of All Fears or Without Remorse, or some of those titles that he did from his original Jack Ryan series. And then like Vince Flynn has a lot of like themed titles where he's like term limits and all these different kind of things. So I was looking for titles for my fiction, but I'm also looking for fiction that I want to read to see what's going on in the genre at that time.
Right.
A lot of times though, when I go in, I don't know that I type in keywords. A lot of times I'll just click straight through to either science fiction or fantasy and just look what's trending in the genre.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, which is, I think, I don't know whether that's something that's, we might do as authors because we've got a certain mindset. So we were automatically thinking in terms of what headings are we're going to shoot for, whereas other people might be going a bit more general than that. And
I don't think readers search the way we do.
Right.
Exactly true. I mean, I've just typed in military science fiction now, just out of sort of idle curiosity about what comes up first. Now, without being sort of big-headed about Keystroke Medium, I'd like to think we probably know most of the players in the game these days. Yet the number one search term that's come back, I don't know his name. I've never heard of him.
Oh yeah,
get him on the show.
Yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up to 5. I know who 2 to 5 are. We've had them on the show, or we know of them. 6, don't know them. 7, 8. It's quite strange, really. A whole bunch of people who aren't even operating in the same circles as we are, but are clearly quite successful. And that's been just like an interesting.
It shows how big the pool is.
Oh yeah, it's
for everybody. And even if everybody pees in it, it's still probably okay to be in the pool.
Remind me never to get in the pool with you.
Right. Never heard it quite put that way before, Scott. Thank you very much.
Thousands of people peeing in the pool.
Scott Moon, ladies and gentlemen, and he's peeing in the pool.
That's right.
The man is an animal.
But I will. I'm fraction afraid of that thing the in that movie where they pee and it like turns the water blue. So I just can't. Afraid I'll get busted.
You're just surrounded by a cloud of blue.
Can't do it. So,
well, we are coming to the end of the hour. Even though we're having a great time talking, I would like to say before we start wrapping it up that we have a new option for hats. A lot of people have been asking about hats. The previous hats that we have that are these hats that we got made through Vistaprint, and you can't. The light's kind of bad. You can't really see the. The microphone is there. You just can't really see it in the lighting. These are the hats that we had made previous. They were really expensive to produce and to ship. And what do I say, Scott? They're like $35 a hat to make and ship.
Very comfortable.
Very comfortable, but very expensive. There's a local company here in town that I have been in contact with, and went and saw one of the samples for our logo that they did an embroidery sample on. Really good. A lot better than this. It's a full color embroidered logo. And the hat is about $13 or $14. So it'll probably be $15 or $16 with shipping. And so I will go and pick up the hats tomorrow.
The fashion craze sweeping the nation.
That's right.
So if you've wanted to have a hat, I'll have a link on the website here. Probably in the next couple of days to buy a hat if you would like to buy a hat. Obviously, the shirts and the hoodies are still up if you want to buy those for the Season 2 logo. The hats is just the regular logo that we have. If you want to buy a hat, great. If you don't want to buy a hat, that's cool too. But I don't know what's going on in the live chat right now.
It's crazy.
There's ridiculous shit going on in there right now.
We're going to now write books about.
They're probably not even listening to us.
They don't even give a fuck about the hat. Yeah. They're talking about some kind of, I don't even know what.
Pregnant werewolves being in the pool.
Somebody eject Rick. Somebody get Rick out of the live chat. This is
also
fun.
all your challenges to Google that. You put your money where your mouth is.
I bet you will find a book.
You post the first image that comes to that. So.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. don't do that, Rick. So I hope everybody enjoyed moving the show to Monday nights.
I know
this is. Yeah, thanks for finally joining us. Jeez.
15 minutes. Getting paid by the hour here. Come on, man.
Yeah. You're only getting half of your salary for this show.
No, I'm drinking it right now.
You're down to $500,000 tonight.
Scott's over there going, wait a minute, Chuck gets paid? What is this bullshit?
When did that start?
Scott didn't know about.
Yeah, no. Keep that on the down low. Don't tell Scott. So, yeah, if you guys like this Monday night format, you want to keep us going,
maybe we'll
let
be
us
more
know
focused next time.
Yeah, let us know in the comments of the video. Let us know on our Facebook group. coming up, we have a couple guests scheduled. I don't have exact dates yet, but we're going to have Walter Rain coming on. Retzi Bruno is coming on. We're going to have Mark Allen Edelheit returning to the show for his second time. Mark is going to be back on July 2nd to kind of talk about where Tigers has gone from where we first had him on the show back in season 2. And I don't have my huge ass mouse pad somewhere, but he sent us this huge, basically placemat mouse pad. And really good guy, really fun to have on the show. We're also going to have Craig Martell and Michael Anderle on together, which I don't think has ever happened before.
Because there's been a lot of speculation it could be the same person.
That's a big deal, man.
And so Michael Anderle and Craig Martell are going to be on the show. They're going to talk about their experience with SIFWA. They're going to talk about where LMBPM is going, and then, of course, the 20 books.
Didn't they storm the towers of Amazon?
They did.
They did do that, and apparently Michael made a huge to-do at SIFWA, the SIFWA conference. So look forward to that. Well, I'll have some schedules posted. I don't have the dates locked down.
Do we have them scheduled for evening shows?
Yes.
Going forward?
Yep.
Okay.
They are scheduled for evening shows
on half of these shows. So
that's all right.
So
let us know if you appreciate the evening show or if you'd rather go back to mornings. But I see by the attendance tonight that the evenings is a bigger hit, so we'll probably stay with that. So everybody, thank you for coming and hanging out with us tonight. And I don't know what the hell is going on in the live chat. If you're watching on live recording, don't even watch the live chat on it. If you're not participating, you can't watch it. That's the rules. Yep. And I don't know what Logan's got talking about. Who's Chuck Tingle? I don't know.
He's the guy that would write the pregnant male werewolf book. Yeah.
That's
the guy that would do it. If it's going to get done, Tingle's the one that's going to do it.
I do think we need to get Chuck Tingle on here.
That would be amazing.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Does anybody out there have a connection with?
I don't know.
I think he's been anonymous, hasn't he? Since I'll put my money on John Scalzi.
There's a stern warning not to Google Chuck Tingle.
Yeah, don't do that. You know what would be really cool is if, because we're doing this Wheel of Time thing, if we can get Brandon Sanderson on the live show.
Dude, that would be
I'm just saying, that'd be cool.
That would be like a life goal for you, Josh, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Oh, I don't even know if I'd
the rest of us wouldn't even be invited. It would just be Keystroke Medium with Josh Hayes.
Yeah, I wouldn't send anybody the links. I'm like, there's no show.
Why they didn't show up.
No show this. I don't know what they're doing.
Their computers are broken.
When you I still remember when you got Peter F. Hamilton on, and you were like,
"Ding, ding, 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 ding." That's right.
My name is.
Oh, shut up! I was completely professional.
This is my co-host.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ralph, and he's drunk, so don't listen to him.
It's like 4:30 in the morning.
I was about to say, it's got to be like super early in the morning.
Well, not to mention, Chuck, that he started drinking like 3 hours before the show because he can't tell time.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I would have too if I'd have known what I was going to have to deal with when I tried to get on. So, more power to you there, Ralph.
Yeah, well, absolutely. It's 3:10, and I think it's time for me to go and.
Ellen Campbell's asking. No one wants to look at your bed, Ralph. Ellen Campbell's asking who's drunk. I'm not drunk, but I am wearing a new shirt. It says "No Safe Word." EllenCampbell.com. She's a great editor. If you need words to edit, send her an email. Especially if you need them in June, because apparently her June is way open right now. So if you need manuscripts edited right now, send them to. I'm just kidding. I can't even do it with a straight face. Her June is completely fucked. Don't.
The last time I talked to her, she said she was pretty much booked solid for months out.
She's booked solid to like 2023. Exactly. So don't send her an email. So anyway, thanks guys for hanging out with us. It has been a fantastic return to the evening show. I appreciate all you guys' support. Let us know what you thought about the show. Let us know in the comments below. Come hang out with us on Facebook. We will be back next week Walter Rain will be on the show talking about his series, The Literate Thief. And we're going to talk about some writing. We're going to talk about some reading. And, of course, everything in between right here on Keystroke Medium. You guys have a great night.
Cheers, everybody.